You know what always hypnotizes me? Cold air blasting my face at 11 a.m. in a Walmart parking lot when it's 97 degrees outside and the asphalt is literally melting my shoes. That's right, I'm talking about air conditioning. And I'm not talking about the air conditioning I got in my first apartment that was just a box fan duct taped to a block of ice. No, we're talking about those miracles of engineering that make driving in Miami a breeze. See what I did there? Today, we're diving into how your car takes angry, hostile, sun-baked air and turns it into an Arctic paradise. Buckle up, because we're about to get sciencey in this garage. Let's start with the big lie. Here's the thing nobody tells you about air conditioning. It doesn't actually make cold. Nope, cold isn't real. It's not a thing you can create. Cold is just the absence of heat. Like silence is the absence of sound. Or like my dating life is the absence of romance. See, your AC doesn't pump cold in. It pumps heat out. This is thermodynamics, baby. And if you don't understand that basic concept, then I'm sorry, but you've been living a lie. Your whole life is a fabrication. Everything you know is wrong. Okay, let me explain. Your car's air conditioning system has 4 main components. Think of them like a boy band. Each one has a specific job. And if one member leaves, the whole thing falls apart, and you're left sweating in traffic listening to their greatest hits album, wondering what went wrong. This is the heart, the engine, the Beyonce of the operation. The compressor is a pump driven by your engine's serpentine belt, and its job is to squeeze refrigerant gas until it's compressed and hot. Wait, hot? I thought we wanted cold. Hold on, Kevin. I'm getting there. Stop typing in the comments. When you compress a gas, its temperature goes up. That's the ideal gas law. PV equals nRT. Pressure times volume equals some nerdy constants times temperature. Basically, if you increase pressure and decrease volume, temperature shoots up. That's it. The compressor takes low-pressure refrigerant vapor at maybe 30 psi and cranks it up to 250 psi or higher. We're talking about temperatures around 130 to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to fry an egg, which I know because of that fateful afternoon in July when my AC compressor seized and I actually tried it. Spoiler, the egg stuck to my roof and my neighbors called the cops. After the compressor violently assaults the refrigerant, that super hot, high-pressure gas flows to the condenser. This is basically a radiator that sits in front of your actual radiator. It's got tons of thin metal fins and tubes. As hot refrigerant flows through the condenser, air rushes past it. This is usually from driving, or from your cooling fans if you're sitting still like a chump in a drive-thru waiting 20 minutes for a burger. The condenser does something magical. It rejects heat. The refrigerant dumps its heat into the outside air. Remember, we're not making cold. We're moving heat around like a thermal shell game. As the refrigerant loses heat, it condenses, changes from a gas to a liquid. Hence the name. Now here's the magic. The refrigerant is still high pressure, but now it's a liquid instead of a gas. And the temperature drops to maybe 100 to 120 degrees. Physics. Okay, now this is the truly weird one. It's usually either a valve or a tiny tube with a restriction in it, depending on your system. Some cars use a thermal expansion valve, or TXV. Others use a fixed orifice tube. Both do the same basic job. This creates a restriction. A bottleneck, like that one lane that's closed on the highway for construction that's been going on for 3 years and makes you question the very nature of progress and whether we've abandoned the social contract. Much like you in traffic, the high-pressure liquid refrigerant hits this restriction, only this time on the other side, the pressure drops. Suddenly, it's low pressure, and when you drop the pressure on a liquid, something cool happens. Literally, the refrigerant starts to boil, but not like boiling water on a stove. It boils at low temperatures because the pressure dropped. This is called the Joule-Thomson effect, and it's the secret sauce of refrigeration. The liquid becomes a cold, low-pressure mixture of liquid and vapor. We're talking about 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, colder than your ex's heart. This is where the magic happens. The evaporator is another heat exchanger, but this one's inside your car, behind your dashboard. The cold refrigerant mixture flows through it. Your blower motor pushes cabin air across the evaporator's fins. The air is warm, maybe 80 degrees if you just got in your car after it's been baking in the sun all day like a greenhouse of regret. That warm air hits the cold evaporator. Heat flows from the warm air into the cold refrigerant. This is the second law of thermodynamics. Heat always flows from hot to cold. Always is not a suggestion, it's the law. As the refrigerant absorbs heat from the cabin air, it completes its transformation into a gas. It evaporates. That's why it's called an evaporator. This evaporation process absorbs tons of energy. That's latent heat of vaporization. And it's the same reason sweating cools you down. The air coming off the evaporator is now cold, maybe 40 to 50 degrees. That's the good stuff. That's the Arctic blast you feel on your face when you first turn on the AC after a long day at work, where Brad from accounting ate your lunch from the break room fridge again. And then the cycle repeats. The now gaseous refrigerant flows back to the compressor, gets squeezed, flows to the condenser, becomes liquid, hits the expansion valve, evaporates, and around we go. Now, you might be thinking, okay, smart guy, if it's so simple, why does my AC always break? Great question, Tyler. The answer is because the universe hates you specifically, but also because AC systems are complicated. You got refrigerant that can leak, you got seals that dry out, you got a compressor clutch that can fail, you got a blower motor resistor that burns out for literally no reason. And here's the kicker. Your AC system is a closed loop. If even a tiny amount of refrigerant leaks out, the whole system stops working efficiently. You can't just top it off like windshield washer fluid. Well, you can, but you shouldn't, because there's probably a leak and you're just delaying the inevitable expensive repair. Modern cars use R134A refrigerant, or the newer R1234YF in cars made after 2015 or so. This stuff is expensive. R1234YF can cost $50 plus per pound, and your system might hold 2 pounds. So if you need a full recharge after fixing a leak, buckle up for that bill. And don't even get me started on the environmental stuff. Old refrigerants like R12, aka Freon, destroy the ozone layer. R134A contributes to global warming. R1234YF is better, but slightly flammable. We're just constantly picking the least bad option, like voting in a local election. But here's something cool you might not know. Your AC doesn't just cool air, it dries it too. When that warm cabin air hits the cold evaporator, water vapor in the air condenses into liquid water. Just like how a cold drink gets condensation on the outside on a humid day. That water drips off the evaporator and out a drain tube under your car. You've probably seen this little puddle of water under your car after running the AC. That's normal. That's the moisture that used to be in your car's air. You just extracted it like some kind of atmospheric vampire. This is why your windows don't fog up as much when you run the AC with your defroster. You're literally removing moisture from the air. Dry air can't fog up your windows as easily. Science! Now, here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to hear. Your AC system is a parasite. It sucks power from your engine. The compressor is driven by a belt connected to your engine's crankshaft. When the compressor clutch engages and the compressor starts pumping, creates a load on the engine. This load can be 5 to 10 horsepower or more, depending on the system. That's power that's not going to your wheels. That's power being used to move heat around. This is why your fuel economy drops when you run the AC. You're making your engine work harder. It's so bad, some studies show a 10 to 25% reduction in fuel economy with the AC on, especially in city driving. But here's the thing. At highway speeds, it's usually more efficient to run the AC than to roll down the windows. Why? Well, open windows create drag. Aerodynamic drag increases with the square of velocity. At 60 miles per hour, that drag can cost you more fuel than the AC compressor. So the answer to, should I use AC or windows, depends on your speed. City driving? Windows down, probably. Highway? AC on, windows up. Physics don't care about your preferences. With that question answered, have you ever noticed that smell? That musty, moldy, "Why does my car smell like a teenager's bedroom?" smell when you first turn on the AC? Well, that's bacteria and mold growing on your evaporator. Because remember, the evaporator gets wet from all that condensation, and it's in a dark place behind your dashboard. Perfect environment for gross stuff. The fix, however, isn't hard. You can spray antimicrobial cleaner through your AC system. Or you can just run the heat full blast for a few minutes occasionally to dry everything out. Or you can live with it like I did for 6 months until my passenger made a comment and I had to actually address my problems for once. Now that you understand what's going on, let's do a little time traveling to the future. Modern cars are getting fancy electric AC compressors that don't run off the engine belt. They're powered by the electrical system. This is especially common in hybrids and electric vehicles because those cars don't always have the engine running. Some systems use variable displacement compressors that can adjust their output based on cooling demand. More efficient, less parasitic loss. Some luxury cars have multi-zone climate control with separate evaporators and heater cores for different parts of the cabin because apparently rich people can't agree on temperature and need separate climate zones like they're establishing different countries in the same vehicle. The technology keeps evolving, but the basic principles, those stay the same. Compression raises temperature, expansion lowers it, heat flows from hot to cold. The second law of thermodynamics is undefeated. Your car's AC is basically a heat pump that moves thermal energy from inside your car to outside your car. It compresses refrigerant to make it hot, rejects the heat through the condenser, expands the refrigerant to make it cold, then uses that cold refrigerant to absorb heat from your cabin air through the evaporator. It's a continuous cycle, a thermal merry-go-round, and when it works, it's glorious. When it breaks, you remember what summer was like before air conditioning, and you wonder how humanity survived. So next time you're cruising down the highway with the AC cranked, windows up, living your best life, remember, you're not experiencing cold air. You're experiencing the absence of heat that was violently ripped from that air and yeeted into the atmosphere outside your car. And if you learned something today, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't learn something, that's on you, not me. And you can take it up with the comments section where David is probably already typing "actually" for the 15th time this week. Until next time, stay cool, literally.